All right, hello, and it is silverkyle, and today I am going to be taking a look at this Lord of the Rings box set that came out a few years ago that I just recently picked up, and I cannot wait to reread the Lord of the Rings. I've been meaning to reread this series for almost 2 decades now. It's crazy how long it's been, and the Lord of the Rings means absolutely so much to me. I love the story, the characters, and the world building that Tolkien introduced to us with this series. He is an absolute mastermind when it came to fleshing out a real world with the amount of detail, history, and language, just all the amount of effort that he put into this, where it actually feels that it could be a real life world because of how detailed he was. He is phenomenal, second to none. So my introduction to The Lord of the Rings was with The Hobbit. I was 13 years old, and at the time, we didn't know anything about the movies. I also will say that the movies, Peter Jackson did a great job adapting these books. I thought that the extended editions are exactly where it's at. We didn't necessarily get everything, but I was very satisfied with them. And when it came to casting, we will never find a better Gandalf than Sir Ian McKellen. Like he just nailed that role, and I think that is arguably one of the best casting choices in any movie ever made. So I very much like the movies. The Hobbit's not so much. Anyway, my introduction to The Lord of the Rings was when I was 13 years old, before we knew that The Lord of the Rings was being made. And I liked The Hobbit. I thought that it was an interesting story. And then I read The Lord of the Rings when I was 14 years old. I started with the Fellowship of the Ring. I finished that book, moved on to The Two Towers, started Return of the King, and I just couldn't do it anymore. I started reading Wheel of Time, and at the time, that was just more up my alley. I didn't necessarily like his writing as much. I liked the story, but there was something else that I wanted. So I have not read these books since then. I'm 33 years old now, and it's almost been 20 years since I've read these books. I really want to give them a chance as an adult. So we're just going to take a quick peek at these books here. And I thought that definitely a hardcover is what I would like to read them in. The font is not much better. The paper quality is really up there. I unboxed this yesterday and took a look at everything, and I love it. So there's the dust jacket for the Fellowship of the Ring. Just a plain book on the outside. There you have it. And it is actually sewn binding. I did not expect that. Let's have that focus there. So you can actually see that it is sewn binding. I was very impressed by that. The paper quality is great. And look at that. Oh, let's actually show the viewers. This is exactly how I want to read books. Paperbacks I will read, but I much prefer when you have a hardcover and everything's spaced out more, because it feels like I'm moving through the book a lot faster. Now, that isn't necessarily always the case, but it feels like that. It's a lot easier on the eyes. I also like the maps. Any book with maps I always enjoy, and we actually do have, I think, yeah, near the end here we have an actual fold-out map. I always like these because it's a lot easier to kind of figure out. I'm able to visualize what's going on in the story a lot easier that way. So yeah, I can't wait to dive back into this. I actually reread chapter 1 last night, and I think I'm much more at a stage in my life where I'm able to enjoy and appreciate Tolkien's writing, because he is very different. I mean, he finished Lord of the Rings in 1954, I believe, or that's at least when he published it, 1937 for The Hobbit. So I'm curious to see how when I was 13 and 14, and I was like, I kind of get this, but I'm not really enjoying the writing as much, and I'm curious to see if I'm as an adult, I'll appreciate it more. Let's take a look at the Two Towers. I like this kind of old school feel to this, the covers here as well. I generally do like it more when there is a little bit more going on, like an actual picture. One of the books that I had from The Lord of the Rings when I first was reading it had a really nice drawing on it for the Fellowship of the Ring. And I wish I could find them again, but it's once again, it's a paperback, so it's not the same to me. This one's much smaller. And what they also did, because Lord of the Rings was initially supposed to be one book, they continue on with the page count. So we're already into book 3, because the first Fellowship of the Ring is book 1 and book 2. Book 3 and 4 are in the Two Towers, and we start off at page 413 and continue on into the 700s afterwards. Helm's Deep. I can't wait. I really can't wait to see what it's like. Because now a lot of my memories of the Lord of the Rings are attached to the movies, and I know that there's definitely a lot of differences there. There's a lot of similarities, definitely, but there's always so much more in books. I like that they have that. I don't necessarily know that if when I'm reading it, I would have it out while I'm reading it, because you definitely could, the way that they kind of made this, but I don't think that's how I'm going to read it. The only negative about this this set is that it doesn't include The Hobbit, because I would have liked that. But I just recently ordered The Hobbit, so I'll have that soon, and I'll start that next week. Return of the King, which was the weakest in my opinion of the movies. I think a lot of people did enjoy the movies, the third one, but I just... The thing is that I don't necessarily care so much about Frodo and Sam. And I know that that's kind of blasphemy, because that's the whole point of this book, and that's the whole story, is the burden that Frodo had. And obviously Sam I enjoy Sam much more as a character than Frodo. But I feel that to enjoy and appreciate Sam so much, Frodo kind of had to be the one that was bothered so much. But I just remember reading this, and all it was is that Sam and Frodo would just always tell each other how tired they were. And I mean, that's true, and you kind of have to have that, because that was the struggle that they were dealing with. But yeah, I don't know. It's going to be interesting to see this as like I said, as an adult. So we've got, I don't know if we always have a map at the beginning. I'm not sure. But we've got one there, and then we should have one at the very end as well. Now, we do have the appendices here, and because I never finished this, I had no idea that they actually... So let's see if we can find the chapters. So we have book 5 and book 6 here, the book finishes, and then we have the appendices, and apparently this is actually more of the actual story that continues on, that kind of gives you like, this is what happened to all these characters. And I really am looking forward to reading that. Never really cared about poems and songs, and I know that some people, like, that is a major part of some books, and especially Tolkien's work, but they never really jived well with me. Maybe as an adult they will. I still doubt it. I'm just not a poem kind of guy. I don't care about that kind of stuff at all. And I don't think I have the patience to kind of try to enjoy it. I don't know. I mean, I'll read them, but I never found a lot of enjoyment from them. And I know that that's probably a rare thing, and I'm probably missing out. And finally, last but not least, is the actual Reader's Companion of The Lord of the Rings. And this thing's massive. Hardly a word in it, 600,000 or more has been considered. That's insane too. Yeah, he's just a phenomenal being. Tolkien was just a genius. It's massive. Let's see how many pages this is. Oh, okay, so it's under 900 pages. It's not that big. And as you could see also, that the books lay flat, like we're getting an eye, actually, because it is sewn binding. So they did a great job with this. So this just has so much more information. If ever you need a little bit of information from some of the history or anything like that, you just dive into this, I believe, and you'll be able to kind of get caught up with certain things. I really haven't looked too much into this, but I will down the line. And so there you have it. That is the Lord of the Rings box set here. And I can't wait to dive into this, but I'm going to start with The Hobbit first and then move on to these. So thank you all for watching. You have been bearded in. Beardage.